probably the thing that made me realize for sure at some point in my life I was going to have a horse was going on a horseback riding tour on the west coast of Ireland. It was just so much fun riding through the bogs, and we ended up at the ocean, riding down the dunes into the water, and just a sense of freedom and fun and experience on a horse outside of the confines of a stall or a barn or the usual ways that we think of being with our horses. So it's very cool.
Yeah.
I actually started with horses when I was around 9 years old, and I started taking riding lessons. But unfortunately, there really wasn't room in the budget to have a horse. So I had to let that dream go for a while, and really didn't have anything to do with horses until I got back into my 20s. Corona was actually on Facebook. I found him in Northern Illinois Horses, and I was on the fence with him. And again, because I knew he was going to auction and I was super concerned about how that was going to end up for him, I really, even though he wasn't a direct rescue, I do feel like in a sense, I may have saved him from a not great scenario in his life. So I would never say he's a rescue, but I do say I got him before he went to auction so he didn't have to go through that. So I just got him, and that was that. And so here we are 2 years later, a lot of, issues later, but we're in a really good place right now. So I go to get him, and I'm walking him, and he is as high as a kite. Thinking, I can't even really get him from his stall to the arena because he was so high. He didn't really like the cross ties. He was trotting around. We're like, well, let's put him in his stall and give him some carrots. Oh my gosh, Callie, the horse went bonkers because he has fear of missing out. He has total separation anxiety. I know people like to call that buddy sour, but the thing with Corona is when you take him away from the other horses, he doesn't freak out. It's when they're gone and he's alone, or he's brought in and there's nobody else there. Not that that's not buddy sour, but it feels different to me in terms of the separation anxiety. Someone asked me the other day how it's going, and I said, next to being married and having children and those life experiences, this experience has probably been the single best experience outside of that life that I've ever had. The fact that I ended up really having to do the work to learn and understand what was going on with him for the most of the time of rehabbing, both nutritionally and physically, with the guidance of my current trainer, long distance, it's really just been me and him and figuring it out. If it hadn't happened the way that it had, I wouldn't know a quarter of what I know now. And I don't even know everything I could and need to know in life, but I wouldn't even know now if I'd had somebody, just doing lessons and doing all that stuff. I would not know what I know. I would probably not love him the same way that I do. I probably wouldn't have the same connection that I do because it wouldn't have needed to be forged that way. It's just a special thing, and it just worked out. One thing I've had to learn to do is just when I'm getting impatient with him and just say, just stop. Just let it go. I think at some point internally, your own switch just flips and you're like, I just have to do this. I have to get my feet on the ground and get myself under control here and do the best I can with what I know so that we can both move forward. I can be like this, or I can just be like, I know you're having a moment. We're just going to walk through this or work through it or whatever's happening here and move on and call it the day, regardless of what my plan was. And, for example, even right now, the last couple of times I've been fetching him and bringing him in, he's just been like a kite at the end of a lead rope. And, whereas before I would have been just beside myself, now I'm just in my head. I look at him and I think, well, this is him. This is the moment we're in. It's nothing I've never seen before. So let's just work it through. The moment that I love with him, no matter whether it's in the saddle or on the ground, is when I can just see that he is relaxed and feels okay. When I can just see that throughout his whole body. Because outside of anything that he might ever feel from me in general, he's just a pretty tightly wound horse. So when I can see him respond to me and have a relaxing moment, that's one of the best moments, because I feel so good for him, actually, that he can just let it roll. So sometimes that's in the saddle, sometimes it's on the ground when he's ground tied, and just when I initially had him, I felt really alone. So you start seeking information out and online, and there's a lot of the natural horsemanship philosophy, and I'm like, it wasn't giving me what I needed. It's like I'm still not learning sort of the core of the horse, and maybe it's the therapist in me about more the holistic elements of horses and horsemanship that got me to you, and just sort of understanding what a horse is and what it needs. And I wasn't finding that till I landed with you. But again, for me, I think a lot of it goes to the therapeutic element in my own mind about the knowledge about supports. There's not one way. I can look at, I can try stuff and determine that it's not for us. Does that make sense? But I can never look at something and say, oh, that's wrong, that's right. Everything is a mix of everything depending on what's happening in the moment. So I love your class, and I love your site. It's really nice, a really super well-rounded program. So you are so good at making sure we have examples. I just can't really say, enough to anybody, whether you're just starting out or you're further along, because there's always a nugget of information in there that you can take away.